How's it going, everybody? In this video, I want to give you guys a status update on all the major Second Amendment cases that I get asked about pretty much daily. So let's talk about these. But real quick before I jump into this video, if you think the federal government needs to stop infringing on our Second Amendment rights, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. I also want to give a shout out to one of the main supporters of the channel, which is USCCA. Through your membership, you get training, education, and self-defense liability protection. So if you carry a firearm, I highly recommend you take a look into USCCA, and I'll put a link to them down in the details section. Also, I want to let you know that this content is powered by the Firearms Policy Coalition. So head on over to joinfpc.org to help support the Second Amendment cause. Thank you again, Firearms Policy Coalition, for supporting this channel. So like I said in the intro, in this video, I want to cover a lot of the major Second Amendment cases that I get asked about pretty much daily. A lot of people ask me frequently about status updates, and there's been some movement on some of the federal level stuff. So let's kind of talk about these. The first one that I get asked about quite frequently is the Duncan v. Becerra / Duncan v. Vibonta case, which deals with the state of California's restrictions on magazine capacity. Now, this is the case that led to the first Freedom Week in the state of California, where millions of magazines that hold more than 10 rounds were purchased, flooded into the state of California. Essentially, the Attorney General at that time, Javier Becerra, said essentially they have no way of knowing or stopping all these magazines from coming into the state of California. So that whole case really revealed how starved the state of California was. And so it's understandable why so many people ask me frequently about that, because so many people maybe missed out on that or maybe want to go purchase more magazines. And so they're really curious what's happening. Well, this case made its way all the way up to the Ninth Circuit. A 3-judge panel in the Ninth Circuit once again upheld that this ban on magazines that hold more than 10 rounds was indeed unconstitutional. But then the state of California, through the Attorney General, sought an en banc review, which is a review by a larger panel of randomly selected judges. In this case, the Ninth Circuit, it's 11 judges. So 11 judges reviewed this case, and that actually happened. Those oral arguments happened June 22nd of 2021. So for everybody asking me about this case, essentially there hasn't been any heavy movement since June 22nd of 2021. And likely that's because the Ninth Circuit en banc panel may be waiting until the Supreme Court rules in the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association case, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. Another thing to note as far as the Duncan case is, I know a lot of people in California want the Duncan case to go up to the Supreme Court, but there is a different case that deals with magazine capacity that is currently seeking review from the Supreme Court, and that is the ANJRPC case. That comes out of the state of New Jersey. Similar restriction on magazine capacity, and there you have ANJRPC seeking review from the Supreme Court. So there's a similar case that deals with magazine capacity that has made its way up to the Supreme Court. That one's on hold, but potentially if the Supreme Court does decide to take up that case after they issue their ruling in the New York State case, that would also affect this case here, Duncan. But we will see kind of how these timelines fall and whether or not Duncan also gets up for Supreme Court review before the Supreme Court actually issues their ruling in the New York State case. Another case coming out of the Ninth Circuit, which a lot of you are anticipating out of the state of California, is the Miller v. Vibonta case, or the Miller v. Becerra case. Now, important to note with all these next few cases I'm going to talk about, these all deal with issues coming out of the state of California, but because of that, they are on hold currently until the Duncan v. Vibonta case is decided. The Duncan v. Vibonta case is the one we just talked about. So Miller, a stay has been put in place until a final determination in Duncan v. Vibonta, essentially because there was a stay in place until a determination in Rupp v. Vibonta. Now, going to Rupp v. Vibonta, which deals with a similar issue, the ban on so-called assault weapons in the state of California. This deals with a larger issue. In the state of California, there are specific categories of firearms that are deemed to be so-called assault weapons, and then there's also a list of make and model of firearms that are also deemed to be so-called assault weapons. So in Rupp, there's a challenge to both of those kind of schemes in the state of California. Well, Rupp v. Vibonta, there was a 3-judge panel oral argument that happened October 8th of 2020, and we were waiting for a ruling, but Rupp was put on hold once again until a determination in Duncan v. Vibonta. So you can see how all these things are starting to stack up, how there's this kind of domino backlog, and when Duncan falls, all these other cases can get going, but until Duncan happens, Rupp's on hold, and then Miller's on hold until Rupp. So you can see how these are starting to stack up. And that goes for the next one as well, which is the Rody Vibonta / Rody v. Becerra ammo day case. Rody Vibonta deals with the state of California's restrictions on ammunition purchases, requiring people to go through essentially background checks to purchase ammunition. This case also went through Judge Roger T. Benitez in the Southern District of California. He ruled in favor of Second Amendment rights, but that very same day, the state of California sought a review from the Ninth Circuit, which that was granted on an emergency basis. Now, Rody Vibonta was another case where 3-judge panel review actually did happen, and that happened on November 9th of 2020. But what essentially is happening is now we are waiting until a ruling will happen, but we have to wait until actually Duncan Vibonta once again is decided by the en banc panel. So once again, another case that is kind of backlogged because of Duncan. Now, some other cases I get asked about in other circuits is like the 4th Circuit 18-20 case, which is the Hirschfield case. This case was filed against the ATF based on the 1963 law that Congress passed, which bars individuals 18 to 20 from purchasing handguns from gun stores. In this case, you had a 4th Circuit review of that issue, and they found that 18 to 20-year-olds have Second Amendment rights and that the challenged laws impermissibly burdened those rights. So they ruled against this law that restricted the purchase of handguns from gun stores on individuals who are 18 to 20. And that was a good win, but essentially what happened there is like the state of California does with all of their cases when they lose, a petition for en banc review was also sought and has now currently been filed. So that kind of decision is going to be on hold until the 4th Circuit reviews that case en banc. The other circuit court case I get asked about frequently is the 6th Circuit bump stock decision in the GOA v. Garland case. This case is a challenge to the ATF's reinterpretation of bump stocks as a combination of parts that can convert a firearm into a machine gun, and therefore essentially determining that bump stocks are indeed machine guns under the GCA's definition. In this case, you had a 3-judge panel in the 6th Circuit review this issue, and they found that the ATF's interpretation was incorrect. Well, once again, the government didn't like that, and they sought an en banc panel review in the 6th Circuit, and that was granted. Now, in this case, in this instance, oral arguments were actually held on October 20th of 2021. So we're currently just waiting to see how the 6th Circuit will rule on this issue. One thing to note also is that in response to those oral arguments, the DOJ had to submit some additional information, a letter to the circuit court clarifying some issues. And in that clarification letter, they also said that AR-15s are not indeed machine guns under their interpretation of the definition. So some interesting things have also kind of fallen out of those oral arguments, but as of right now, we're just waiting for the 6th Circuit to rule. So now let's move to some Supreme Court updates. And for those of you who've been watching my channel frequently, you likely know a lot of this stuff, but let's talk about the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association v. Bruen case. This is a challenge to the state of New York's concealed carry permit scheme where they require proper cause for someone to be issued a permit to carry concealed. However, they do not consider self-defense to be proper cause. So on self-defense alone, people are not granted permits. Well, oral arguments were heard in this case on November 3rd. I live streamed that. A lot of you guys watched that along with me, and I did some follow-up videos summarizing all these issues. So if you want a full summary of kind of how those oral arguments played out, you can find that on my channel. But oral arguments were heard on this case, and now we're going to be waiting for a determination from the Supreme Court. The next case that is seeking Supreme Court review is the Young v. Hawaii case, and this is a challenge to the state of Hawaii's open carry scheme. Essentially what happened is this worked its way through the 9th Circuit, and then a 9th Circuit en banc panel reviewed this case, and essentially they determined that under the Second Amendment, you do not have a right to carry a firearm out in public for self-defense. They specifically targeted open carry in that case, but there is 9th Circuit precedent as well in the Pena case to say that you don't have a right to carry concealed out in public for self-defense. So currently the 9th Circuit is just a complete mess, and this is seeking some review and clarity from the Supreme Court on the open carry issue. Now the important update on this one is that the Young v. Hawaii was distributed for conference for the Supreme Court to decide if they wanted to review this issue. This was sent out with a bunch of other Second Amendment cases, and the Supreme Court kicked, I think it was like 3 or 4 of Second Amendment cases, but they put this one on hold until they determined and issued their decision in the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association case. And this goes for the next case as well, which is the ANJRPC v. Grewal case that I mentioned prior, which deals with the state of New Jersey's magazine ban. And it's similar to the state of California where they restrict access to magazines that hold more than 10 rounds because they deem those to be so-called large capacity magazines. And this case as well was seeking cert from the Supreme Court. It was kind of distributed with that group of Second Amendment cases. A bunch of those Second Amendment cases were kicked, but like Young v. Hawaii, ANJRPC was put on hold. So that's just a quick rundown of all the major cases that I get asked about pretty much daily. That runs the gambit of all the 9th Circuit California cases that I get asked about, some of the other circuit court cases that I get asked about, and then also a bunch of these Supreme Court cases. If you guys have any questions, go and comment down below and I'll try to answer the best of my ability. Also, if you like this video, like, support the channel, one of the best ways to do that is to like, comment, and subscribe. All those things help to fuel the algorithm or fuel Al Gore's rhythm. It adds fuel to his jet and it signals to YouTube that you guys see value in these videos and in this type of two-way news. So thank you so much to everybody who's liked, commented, subscribed, who's hit the notification bell. You guys are directly impacting these videos, directly impacting this channel. I never would have thought I would have reached 200,000 subscribers. It was a big, lofty goal to try to reach that by the end of the year. Didn't think it would happen. It was kind of that New Year's resolution, and you guys helped me crush that. So thank you so much for all the support. If you don't have a comment in mind, just comment down below that you're commenting to fuel the algorithm. And also, if you're a new subscriber, go ahead and comment down below that you're a new subscriber, and I will make sure I comment back to you. So as always, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And never forget, this is Built by Armed Scholars, and this nation will be maintained by Armed Scholars.